Hello. It is Sunday, and we are here again once more to do some bobbin lace. I really wasn't in the mood yesterday, so I do apologise. You know how some days you kind of I'm up for a lot of things, but not that. And it was kind of one of the but not that moments. I was just distinctly not in the mood. So I've been watching a TV series called Scorpion, where a bunch of geniuses, for want of a better word, go about and solve all sorts of things. And while of course it is a big pile of hooey, as someone who's always struggled with being one of the more intelligent people in the room, it is kind of relatable. Some of their awkwardness, some of the... I know it's all staged because they're actors, but... And I'm not saying they're not intelligent, because, probably some of them are. But the fact that it's all staged but it does capture a lot of the awkwardness that goes on. And I've forgotten how much I really enjoyed this series because of that. I think there are, they've missed the mark a bit on some of them. The only one that really does kind of work, I think, as well as it should, is the lead character. The rest of his gang are not acting like they're not as well portrayed as intelligent. They know stuff, they're good at stuff, but they've got too much normal. I don't know how else to say that. They see a little bit too normal for people who are supposed to be excessively high IQ. So, now I'm not saying that excessively high IQ can't be normal, but they rarely are. So, because they think a lot more and they think differently, and, they've worked out things. Now, the lead guy, I think they've got reasonably well. But it just seems slightly unlikely. Anyway, let's get down to business. It doesn't look too bad. For some reason, I had a feeling that my table was distinctly not where it should be. Let's try and center that a little bit more. I need to try and level it up a little bit. There we go. So, let's have a look. Let's work this side, because this side needs some work. So how have you been? What have you been up to? Well, I have been playing Megabolt some more. I do like it. I think I've always been drawn to simple games where the tiniest little thing is the difference between failure and success. And because it is that, because the RN gods, formerly known as the RNG generator, random number generator, is very much at play. It's not necessarily... Well, I'm not saying you couldn't win. If the RN gods had been a little more in your favour, you'd have definitely won. With the RN gods giving you what you did, maybe not, right? And I think that is part of the problem, is that the RN god kind of factor is really, really high. But at the same time, if you've kind of got a bit of a plan, which of course is the problem, don't plan it, because you can't plan with RN gods. If you've made a plan that says I need this, well, then it's not happening. Of course it's not happening, right? Murphy's Law and all that. So it does kind of, the fact that you kind of, I know, you play a bit and it's been giving you a particular weapon, power-ups, and you think, right, I'll specialise in that one, because then I'll have at least one really strong weapon. Well, of course that's not going to work, because now it knows that, right? It does know that. The universe has felt that vibe. The RN gods are no longer going to side with you, and you will never get another power until you die. Because that's how that works. So I think part of the problem with Mega Bonk is you must not plan. Just go with the flow. Just kind of, oh, well, I've got a choice between A, B, or C. You know, B is less sucky, let's do that, right? If you plan any more than that, it's going to backfire. So if you want specific weapon, if you want specific tomes, it's not going to happen. Now, one of the few things that I dislike about it is you have the option to toggle certain things on and off. Well, yeah, you can earn the right to toggle things. Hello. And when you toggle them off, well, you expect them to be off, right? Nope. You can say to it, toggle off this time weapon, which implies that you won't see it. But you do. And I think that's the only thing that annoys me, is that if I've said I don't want any of these things to drop, I meant it. And I felt the same with banish. I know I've banished something and then seen it appeared again later. That kind of feels like a bug. But it's a good game though. It's a good waste of like 7 or 8 minutes if you finish it. If you get to finish it, it's like 6-7 minutes. If you don't finish it, of course it's short. So it's a good waste of a few minutes. So yes. How are you? I'm just lengthening bobbins and having fun, as the phrase goes. Good. Okay, is it good? Oh, what are you making? Yeah. I can do a plain set of acrylics and gels. I just can't. I am no artistic talent whatsoever. Waste of time trying. Christ, I probably couldn't even put blobs on it for a laugh, you know. That's how unartistic I am. If I tried to put blobs on it, it would just look like mould or something, you know. They wouldn't look artsy, they'd look shit. That sounds nice. So it'll be this sort of colour. must go to the optician. A little bit long, but we can do some of that. You, of course, have just come undone. You're annoying. Congratulations. So yes, I do apologise to those who are hoping to catch last night's stream, but I just, well, I really wasn't in the mood, and you know, it is. I'm not going to say that staying up is a problem, because it really isn't. I'm very good at it, but I wanted to go to bed early. I didn't, more to the point, just to really annoy myself. I didn't, but I wanted to. I was a lot more relaxed for not doing it. I got good night's sleeps. I do realise, of course, that I am less than ideal as a Twitch streamer, for I am not very good at talking when I'm doing things. Well, I can, as long as it's utter rubbish. I'm very good at creating dead air time. And I do think that's one of the things that gameplay does lend to streaming better than something like this, where in gaming, of course, no, get out of the way. No, not that one. I didn't want that one. You know, all of that kind of stuff that tends to go through your mind when you're gaming. Is that, you know, you're trying to do something and it's like, no, heal. You know, you get really agitated and really kind of shout your game. As long as it's not tic-tac-toe or patience or something. But something like this kind of lends to sitting in the quiet and flipping bobbins and poking pins. And it's very hard to randomly interject stuff into it just to kind of keep the conversation going. But of course, if the conversation isn't going, people who drop by kind of go, "What's this boring?" and start off again. I mean, I really would love it if, as people left the stream, they had, you know, almost were made to leave a comment as to why. I'm sure most of them would say boring, right? Because it's hardly, you know, excitement, as if there is no speed and thrill in it after all. Yeah, I just kind of wish, you know, because it's really weird, because when you finished your stream, you get a Twitch report saying, you know, you had, you know, so many people came to watch your stream. At the, you know, at the peak time you had so many, you averaged so many, and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes the numbers are, you know, healthy looking, and other times they're just not. Sometimes quite a lot of people came and went, and obviously they went for a reason. Now, either they were just kind of like, what the hell's that about? Oh, that looks boring, and wandered away. And I get that, I truly do. After all, I've said this before, it's not really a spectator sport in my eyes. You know, I fully understand to an extent that this truly is not fascinating to watch. I mean, I know that there is an element of, oh, that's clever, you know, kind of like, oh, that's how that's done, kind of moments. And, you know, like anything, lots of, you know, part of humanity is that we can find interest in something we don't know and watch it for a bit and see how it's done. That doesn't mean we want to watch it for hours. Doesn't mean we want to watch it again. And I get that, because, you know, I've done it too. It's not that I don't want to know, but if I'm never going to do it myself, there's no point, you know, kind of watching 500 tutorials and all that kind of stuff. So it is very much, you know, oh, so that's how that's done. Okay, interest over now. Yeah, done. So yeah. And I guess if I was one of those women who could do the 5,000 bobbins a second kind of thing, it would probably be more interesting, because there is a Jesus Christ, how fast is that kind of aspect to it. But as I'm not, and I do feel that some laces tend or lend themselves to some speed over others, and that because this one is do a couple of stitches, pin, do a couple of stitches, do a couple of stitches, pin, do a couple of stitches for the majority of the work. And it is the pinning that slows it down. It's not the stitches per se. If you could do it without the pins, it would be one heck of a lot faster. So, you know, it is that kind of aspect, is that it's not that necessarily I'm hugely slow. I mean, obviously I'm not a super speedy woman. I'm not, I'm not going to claim that at all. But it is a lot faster when you don't have to pin everything. And it really doesn't help that I'm a complete idiot when it comes to picking up pins out of a pot. I don't know whether there's something medically wrong with me, but I seem to be dropping more and more things almost by the day. I pick something up and just kind of... I feel like one of those grabber machines, you know, the ones with the claw that goes... and then it just kind of... Yeah, I feel a lot like one of those. I pick it up and I almost go... Well, I wanted that. I have to go pick it up again. I seem to be very good at that at the moment. Yeah, and it's weird, isn't it? Is that some days you're really on fire and, your body's doing everything you expected and you're cool. And other days it's like, did aliens infest my body? Because right here, right now, I do a lot of things and I'm reasonably intelligent. And I can just sit there going, I don't know, obviously this is a stick, but let's pretend it's not a stick. And you'll be sitting there going, the thing, word, thing. And your brain's just going, I know of no such thing. And it can be all sorts of things. I program in a whole load of different languages. And the other day I was sitting there going, I've done this like 10,000 times. So I need to do it again. And my brain goes, I know of no such thing. I have never done. You have. You did this like, yesterday. I didn't. Yeah, I most certainly did not, says my brain. And you're like, you did. You did. I was there. I remember doing it. Not what I did. Tell me what I did. I do find that incredibly frustrating. So the other day I was trying to get value out of a dictionary, computer dictionary though, which is kind of like a named array, for want of a better word. So instead of having points, yeah, it's like server brain offline, file storage not found, So when a yeah. It is. It's your brain did not join you today. Today your brain is just not in the mood. and you know you're left to function without it. And anyway, computer arrays normally are like, you know, if you have an array of points, you'd have like points being the name of it, and then you'd have like, I don't know, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and these would each be a point in your array. In a dictionary, as I said, so effectively a named array, instead of having like points 0, 1, 2, 3, although there are, you know, it does attribute an arbitrary number to them, you don't tend to use it. You might have home, pond, dog, cat, right? And so you can go to the dictionary and pick up the value. And this is a great thing because it means that you can, you know, make far more meaningful code by, instead of having point number 3, you can write church or whatever, right? And you know, it does help. It really does. And you can store, obviously, similar values within it. But when you're sitting there and your brain's going, I know how to add the values to the dictionary. Yes. I know how to test if there are values in the dictionary. Yes. How do I get the value back? I don't know. How can you not remember? Well, the worst part is you know it's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be, you know, name of dictionary, square bracket, and the name. Or it's going to be braces. Quote, braces. I tried both. Neither worked, and the answer was I was right the first time. But it didn't work, and I don't know why not now. But I had to Google it in the end, because my brain was going, everything my brain showed me, it would go, no. What do you mean, no? Either the compiler said no, or my brain said no ideas. I'm out of ideas now. And you're like, but you've done this so many times. So yeah, such is life. So I do try to mutter a little about what I'm doing, but it's really hard. It's just, you know, it's a bit like, I don't know, doing some cross stitch, you know. Hey, neck kisser, how are you? I was back at work on Friday, trying to find out what I've missed, and I found it very difficult. Oops, dropped the pin again. It's like... The dropping of the pins is really annoying. But it doesn't seem to matter actually how big it is. It could be I was carrying a chair and I'll be hanging on to it, and the next thing I know I've dropped it, and I'm like, but I was still doing that. I think part of it is because my brain wanders because it's bored. And that's not meaning that it's bored of doing this, it's just bored of that particular action. So it forgets the, I know, let's take the picking up of a pin. It goes, right, I've concentrated, I have now picked up a pin. Look, there it is. Oh, look, so what stitch are we doing next? And it just kind of goes, let go, because it's not thinking about the pin anymore. And I think that is a lot of it. I do think that, you know, a squirrel kind of thing is very much the problem that I've got, is that it's not that I'm not holding something firmly enough. It's that I kind of, my brain stops looking at the thing I'm holding and concentrating on hanging on to it. Not that you mentally, you know, or consciously necessarily do think, I must hold on to this, I must hold on to this, because you don't. As adults, we don't think of that. We just kind of go, I am holding this now. And then you can talk about the things that you're not consciously doing anything with this. But obviously, you know, one cycle of brain cells is going, hang on to stick, or whatever it is. And then suddenly, my brain obviously kind of goes, yeah, well, that's pointless. And just kind of stops hanging on to it enough. And it slides out your hand and lands on the floor. Now, there are other explanations to that. So, for example, if you're a glasses wearer, 9 times out of 10, you are not hugely aware of the glasses on your face. But when you first started wearing them, they annoyed the living crap out of you because they were constantly touching your face. You got used to it. Now, I'm not saying that this is wholly responsible. But, for example, if you do a stretch and you hold it for 2 minutes, even if it really hurt to start with, after 2 minutes, it won't hurt as much because your body has got used to it. So you can stretch more. And I do have a feeling that some of it is also I've got used to feeling that, I'm not thinking about it because I can't feel it, and then, oh well, never mind, I'm not hanging on to it anymore. I do feel that could be part of the problem. I'm not saying it is the whole problem, but I think it might be a contributing factor to it all. Because it does just seem that you're hanging on to it, you're definitely hanging on to it, and now you're not. But that doesn't excuse the times that you pick it up and then kind of chuck it on the floor. You know, I know, here's a stick. Oh, you know, that kind of thing, right? Slightly over dramatised, obviously, but it feels like that sometimes is but I am thinking about it. Obviously not hard enough, you know. This couch is getting fucking uncomfortable. Not only is my table constantly listing to one side, even though I've put heavier things over there to try and counterbalance it, let me move the base a bit to try and support it a bit more. But the cushion in the middle of my couch, I think, is a little bit flat. Probably because I sit on it all the time. And, well, means my butt is uneven, which means I sit uneven. And it's just not a good thing. It's all adding up to these little annoyances that I think contribute to the distractions of hanging on to things like pins. And I have got a thing to sit on, but it's kind of under a pile of something else. It doesn't help. I bought kind of a foam cushion, almost like a booster seat foam cushion. It's not, but I can't think of what else to call it. But it is a bit like a booster seat in that it's another 4 inches of foam. Now, by the time I've sat on it, of course, it's nothing like 4 inches of foam, but can I wedge it out from under? Hang on, let's see if I can extract it from under here. Something didn't like it, but I have extracted it. Let's rearrange the couch a little bit. Put down my foam cushion. Hang on a moment. Let's put that. Yeah, if I put that down, you can really see the level of difference. It's got to be a 4 or 5 inch difference. Sit on that. Oh, that's a bit more comfortable to sit on for sure. Right. I feel a bit high up, but that's just because I'm not used to it. It's only far more comfortable. Right. Oh, fuck off. I'm trying to do it again. I can see it. Stop it. Stay on the bobbin. Just do bobbin things. I'll just pick up a pen. You really wouldn't think picking up a pen would be a hard action, right? Apparently my mung bean brain cells are not good at picking up a single pin. They don't deem it efficient enough. They want to grab handfuls of them. But only require one at a time, brain cells. Therefore I have little choice, but I wish, desire, need, in fact, to only pick up one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Let's make you 2 slightly longer, so that you will fit on a bobbin stick and not be the reason it doesn't reach somewhere. And maybe you. Stick. Well, and this is the other thing, is that it's just as well that the clickety-clack is nice, because, well, when I've not got really anything to say, that's all that's kind of left, isn't it? I mean, the only other option is to blast you with some 80s music, really. Which is something we have been known to do on many occasions. Rather than the music you are listening to actually play music of a recognisable form. A bit of twizzle. Let's do it the hard way. Itches. I get dry itchy skin on my back, which is why I itch so much sometimes, and it's really hard because of course you can't really reach your own back to do much about it. Unless you can give yourself like half Nelson kind of thing there. And even then you can't really reach all the parts very well. Around again. This was scratchy then. This scratching device is absolutely amazing. It's really good for back scratches. Sometimes you don't realise how much your back was itching until you've given it a good scratch, and then you realise that what you thought was actually a little itch was actually really quite a big distracting itch, and you just hadn't actually registered it, or you just registered that it was itching, and now you've scratched it. It's like having been bombarded with sound for ages, you forget how quiet is. And you're kind of going, wow. There's a room that they've put and designed where there is, like, you know, no sound kind of thing. And they say that people go mad in it, and I'm like, oh, I bet you're not. I bet you there are people like me who would happily go in there and just, like, you know, a couple of hours later you go in expecting finding kind of like someone who's gone mad with rage or a corpse or something, and we'll just be sitting there kind of idly thinking away, you know, minding our own and going, "Huh, what do you mean it's 2 hours? Oh, okay, whatever." For once, you know, your brain cells might get organised, you know. And not be distracted by the, what is that noise? And the, hey, why can I hear? And all those things that go on. I also need to drink more liquids. I've not been drinking my liquids. Which reminds me, I apologise for any noises that this app is about to make. I have an app thing that I'm trying to do, and it occasionally makes really weird noises. And now it's not making any at all. Well, I have no problem with it not making any at all, because I fired it up while I was talking to some people the other day, and it made snoring noises, and it was like, sorry, and they're like, what the film was that? And it's like, got an app thing, you know, one of those it's supposed to help me app things, but it doesn't really. Because it doesn't really, to be honest. It doesn't really help, but because I find it's one of those things that well, it's an app that's supposed to encourage, I guess, some better behaviours, but what you actually do is you set yourself some goals, because it kind of goes, I want to add this to your things to do today, and you go, yeah, okay. And of course it then goes, it then just lists all the things you need to get done today. So you suddenly realise you got up like 4 hours ago, and that you didn't tell it you got up 4 hours ago. So now you've done like 6 things in 10 seconds, because you've got up, had a wash, hugged the dogs, done this, fed them, you know, drunk 2 litres of water or something. And it just kind of goes, yeah, okay. It doesn't kind of go, did you really just do all of that, or are you just saying that, you know, like a human would? And the problem is you do get to a point where you just say, yeah, I've done it, whether you did or you didn't. So it doesn't really help me. I'm sure it can be helpful, but as an example, so people who are overweight, such as myself, know that we need to eat less, because, well, we do. We either need to exercise a heck of a lot more, so we're burning it off, or we need to eat less, or both, right? Because that's kind of how it works. If you put it in and you don't burn it off, you gain weight. Now, we all know how to eat less. Put less on your plate, don't snack, don't eat things with lots of carbohydrates or sugar in it, you know, all these things. Well, of course we do. We're not stupid, you know. Rarely are we stupid people. I mean, we might be slightly in denial about how much we actually eat, but, you know, we still understand that the principle is it's more than we needed, we need to eat less. And then the next thing we do is go and eat 3 whole cakes because we were hungry. But we know not to. But the hungry said, I'm hungry, so we fed it. And I think, you know, as a whole, the human nature is really weird. You know, we know that this, you know, certain things have a detrimental kind of reaction. We all know that, you know, if you want to make improvements, you've got to change things. But human beings don't like change. You know, so you know that, you know, you're trying to build new habits or, you know, form more positive association or whatever it is. And yet what you actually do is just go, oh yeah, I actually did that. Whether you did or you didn't, because you don't want the shit from the app because you didn't. And you're like, it's not really helping. No, but I'm not in the mood. But you're not in the mood because but that's the whole point. To get in the mood, you need to do these things. So yeah, I forgot to tell it I got out of bed. I forgot to tell it I'd hugged the dogs. I forgot to tell it I'd had some water already today. You know, and you're like, click, click, click. It's not really playing along now, is it? With all the best will in the world, it was never going to be that successful for me. I knew that. But I'm trying. Hello. I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you. I mated them. All with my very own paws. And if you want to see how I mated them, you can go and view how I did it on YouTube. For all of these sessions get uploaded to YouTube at a great, painfully slow pace, thanks to my lovely internet. But all of them are up there, and there are a few videos where making bobbins was the name of the game. So shows you what I had, how I made them, and then we sit down and make a bunch. So I think there's 3 different videos at least with that in. I mean, to be honest, these started out as these sticks. Okay, I bought these sticks off Amazon. They're pre-cut. Well, some of these look elegant because they're black. It's the only reason they look elegant. They started out as these. I could have coloured them any colour I like. I painted them with a Sharpie. I glued some beads on them, and then I put a coat of matte varnish on to try and stop the colour coming off. Was not very successful in that, but that's by the by. But I started off with a handful of wooden sticks. Part of me feels I should have done the plastic lollipop sticks. But I'm not unhappy with these. So I've got a bent pen I was trying to straighten out, I don't know why. Pointless effort. But yes, I mean, the other reason these look elegant is because of the black and silver, because these are metal beads, not plastic beads. Because I wanted the weight behind it, but that makes me weird, and that's fine. because most people do not want weight on their bobbins. Whereas, as we've been discussing, I'm great at dropping shit, so I actually did want some heavier beads so that my brain cells concentrate on more and holding on to them. But it is, you know, it is not a complicated process. And I think that part of the elegance is because they're all the same. If you have sneeze in a crayon box colours, so no disrespect to anyone who bought themselves some plastic coloured beads and went for it, and that's your thing. But I think some of the elegance comes because they're black and because they're silver. Now, black and gold or black and silver will always look smart. You almost can't screw that up. Whereas if you had stick coloured and you put red, green and blue and purple, if you put red, green, blue, yellow, whatever all over it, it's always going to look cheaper, even though maybe it was not. Because the metal beads were a little bit more expensive because the most expensive bit, funnily enough, was the ball bearing. The ball bearings on the top are awkward because they're very difficult to glue on because they're round, obviously. It would have been nicer if they'd been a bit more... It had a flat base on it. But, I've got 85, I've got 9, I think I've got 100 on them. There's more somewhere, I've hidden them. Now, they're not suitable for all kinds of lace making because they're too heavy. If you have a bolster pillow and you're working with fine threads, these would suck because they're too heavy. The strain would probably be too much. But for a flatter pillow, for a roller pillow, for a slightly rounded cookie pillow, these are good. These work really well, at least for me. And as I made them for me, that's what matters. And I think, you got some people who want the lightest bobbins in the history of the world. I kind of wanted the heaviest. If these had been made out of metal poles, if I'd had black, wrought iron metal poles for the sticks in the middle, I'd have loved that. I've actually got, I've got about 8 brass ones. Yeah, I've got 8 brass. They're in a Midlands style, but with no spangles on the bottom because they didn't come with spangles. I think one of them did, and I took it off because, well, I hate spangles. But, I've got 8 brass ones, and they put these to shame because, well, they're brass. Look, poof, and they're awesome. I don't know what they're supposed to be used for, but I love them. And that's how I knew I wanted heavy bobbins, because I'd got hold of these brass ones, because I think they were decorative more than functional. But I really like them. So I've kind of kept my eye out in case I find more, because, well, more is good, right? Because, well, obviously I like weighty bobbins. I bought, and I've got, a lot of some wooden bobbins that are made of a really dense wood that's quite heavy, and they really are quite heavy in comparison to normal bobbins, and I love them because they're heavy, but they're still wood, but they're heavy. It's, I have the same with weaving. I like heavy weaving shuttles. I don't really like the light ones. They don't feel solid, firm. They feel like they're going to deviate from the direction I throw them. No, they don't, but I don't like the feel. Whereas the heavy ones, frankly, again, if they made one out of lead, I'd probably have one. It's... because I am not a light and dainty person. I don't associate with light and dainty things. Hence, lace making is really a dumb hobby for me, because lace and I are not a thing. I just enjoy making it, which is a bit annoying. Because I don't need any. Yay, Sugar Bear! How you doing? Yeah. And I think sometimes, I mean, obviously, like everything, some people would struggle, even though it's not me. You know, it's not. I was actually thinking whether I should rename my channel to Lizzie Lace. I really was thinking of, you know, because Liz Kimber is a bit boring, to be frank. Calling it Lizzie's Lace or something. Because, as you may have noticed, my YouTube channel is Lizzie's Arts and Craft. Now, while I usually only refer to myself as Liz, I have a very good friend who I love with my soul, who always pretty much calls me Lizzie. Well, and this is it, right? And my friend Petey, when I was making my YouTube channel, told me to name it Lizzie's Arts and Crafts, so I did. It took no more thoughts than that. He said to do it, so I did. Because, you know, it's pretty accurate. So, you know, calling this Lizzie's Lace something. Calling it Lizzie's Lace. Lizzie's Lace making, whatever. Yeah, it's just as accurate. I mean, really is. I have considered renaming it. One of the things I've yet to understand. So, there's a guy I follow, and on his stream, he does gameplay. Okay, and he'll play all manner of games. It's not like he only plays one game. And that's, you know, it's not like, you know, this where I only do lace making on it pretty much. He started a second channel for when he plays games after his stream. Why not just keep playing on the stream you were on? Because you've got all of the people with all of the, you know, with all of the setup of, you know, it's got, yeah, you know, he's got partner and, you know, all of the, you know, he's in the top echelons of the thing. Well, not compared to some of them, but, you know, he gets like 2,000 people most streams, so, you know, he's kind of minted from it in comparison to my good self. But there is this bit of you that kind of goes, why would you... I can understand, you know, so for example, let's say this is my mainstream and I've called it Lizzie's Lace. That you see, that can work. That can work. That's a good name. But he's made another thing to play games when he plays games on his core channel. So if I was going to do computer coding, you know, if I was going to do computer coding, it would make sense if I've called my channel Lizzie's Lace Making kind of thing, right? That I would make another channel for that, because, well, it is a very different subject. But when you're just going to do kind of more of the same, why would you have two channels? What's the point? What good does this do you? I don't understand. I don't understand why he's doing it. Now, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, you know. But there is a bit of you that kind of goes, I just want to understand why. Why you do that. I guess there is one obvious answer. And it sounds really horrible, but I guess there's one obvious answer. So let's say he's got 2,000 people that watch him every day, and half of them are subscribed, right? So he's getting 1,000 subs a month from that channel. Well, if he opens another channel and they want to watch that, now they have to pay another 1,000 subs, right? See, I couldn't do that to people. I really couldn't. I do find it annoying to have to change the stream information, that you can't kind of save a setup of, you know, this is my main thing to do, click. You have to retype it all in, which is really annoying. And of course, why we streamers forget to change the settings is because, well, we don't generally see them while we're working, so it's easy to forget that they're there, you know. All the tags and the crap at the bottom. So yes. But we are back in business. We are fully bobbined up for strip number 2. Nearly at the 1 inch mark of border at the top. That doesn't feel right. Because somehow it's not. Must have missed a pin. I did. And you do that. And you go in the pinhole. And now you go in the pinhole. Start the snakes in a minute. Snake. Sorry. If you have still not yet looked up that video to find out why I keep doing that, you really need to. Pretty much only have to work to about 30 seconds and you'll understand why I keep going, snake. Just give me a pen. Stop being such a mung bean and give me a pen. wish I wasn't so incapable of picking up one pin. I was going to show you this. She says dropping it. Hang on. Be careful, because now I've dropped it. It's proved exactly what I was going to show you. Hang on. To anyone else who's ever bought DVDs, and they come in like this. Now, normally, this is not a huge issue. Except for the fact that each of these has 2 discs on it. But they're not entirely tall enough for 2 discs, so they pop off. And they scratch. Because, for example, these have to go underneath these 2. But what do you do with these 2 while you're doing the top 2? It's cheap and it's stupid, and there's loads of them. So all of these have 2 discs on, and what also happens is you go to do this, and sometimes it will pop the discs off because it's kind of marginally out of angle, because, well, it's a cheap plastic box. And then of course you get twang, and you're like, this better work. When I put one of the discs in, and it didn't work for ages because it got a scratch on it, because it got loose in shipping. It's a terrible system. Absolutely terrible. So what I do need to do, because it's a terrible system, is scrape the DVDs, put the, which I haven't done, but scrape the DVDs, and store it digitally, so at least I can watch it that way, you know. But then, of course, you've got to have 50 billion terabytes of storage to store your DVD collection. And then let's not get started on the fact that my machine doesn't actually come with a DVD player. So I've got a portable one, and it's got like a 2-inch cable. You know what they missed with USB-C? A really good opportunity to make it so that the female end fits in, sorry, the male end fits inside the female end, so that you can just extend them by plugging in another cable. Because somehow they don't. But exactly. Then you need special extending cables, yeah. saw that. But all of those computer cables miss that it would be so much better for the entire universe if the male end and the female end of the cable, sorry, yeah, the cable, not the things they plug into, because, well, that would come naturally, but if the male end could always plug in the female end, A, you can make a loop of them and keep them tidy and safer. Secondly, you could extend them if you needed to. There's no reason why not, other than, as you've said, oh, we can make more money by having extension cable. Now, of course, there would be the one bozo who will try and connect, like, 6,000 cables together and wonder why the communication doesn't make it all the way down, but they could have done. They so easily could have done, Because, of course, one of the other things you get with most things is that you have a male end on the computer and a male end on the device. Therefore, you need two female cables. Two female ends. Therefore, you can't link them together. But it didn't have to be that way. I swear I'm chucking pins around like confetti. I keep seeing flashes of pins leaping across my table. You alright, pups? This bobbin's clearly not a spinner bobbin. Doesn't like the... Doesn't like spinning. Why not? I saw that. You miserable fucking thing. This bobbin is going to end up with a naughty hat on it. I can tell. Missed. It's getting warm in here again. Time for a snack. I saw that. For goodness sake. What are you doing? Other than making a big mess. So one thing that bothers me about spiders in lace making is that, as you can see, it makes like this diamond shape. Zoom in a bit. That's what I mean. By default, threads crossing make diamond shape because you cross from one side, all of the things on one side to that side, and all the things on that side to the other side. So you make a diamond shape. But what you then do is you stick a pin in it and squish them round the pin, so kind of ruck it all up because, well, it has to fit, and then you make another diamond shape underneath. Well, it feels a bit weird that you make the bottom half of the first diamond because, well, surely you want to make the diamond round the pin, not a diamond above and a diamond below. But this is how you do it. And obviously now's not the time to change because we've made a strip, but it just seems a really inefficient. I mean, I know that they want to make like a body of a spider, so they need like a point and a slightly rounded bit and a point, but surely there's better ways of doing that than trying to cram too many stitches that kind of ruck up in the middle. Because basically with a spider, you make one diamond shape, and then you make another one, and you put everything back where it was. So then you've got like a second diamond shape, but you squish it up to try and make it make like the little body. Come undone, it's really annoying. And now our spider has a head, or our snake has a head. That doesn't look right. Far too many of these, so 1, 2. You stick on you. Why can't I ever pick shit up either? I mean, there's a clear thread on top here, and I can't even manage it with a pin. Oops. I've got a feeling this may be a common theme of this strip, is my bobbins coming undone. Because once again, the moment they get a bit of relaxation on them, it encourages them to come undone. It's a bit annoying. Definitely thought I had more pins in this in action. I mean, I'm not out of pins yet. I mean, I've got a handful left in my box. Let's zoom you out again. Don't forget you can move the camera yourselves. pins up here because I do find it easier to pull them out of there. So let's take all the pins, make them the same way up, and stab them individually into the thing. One thing I do love is how if you ask a human brain to do random, it's actually not random. The human brain will naturally, when trying to spread things randomly around something, try and even them out. Whereas a computer randomly generating coordinates in an area like this would inevitably have two touching. That's only two touching because I grabbed two at the same time. Doesn't count. The human brain will fill them in. Well, I certainly think we can say we are down the first inch. That's not going to fit later. Gonna have to resize that text box slightly, aren't I? Oh, that was the DVD box going for a walk. It's over there then. Let's resize this box before I forget. Can't do that now. Can't do it that way. Hang on, let me click that in because then I can do this. So it goes there. saw that. What can I hear? I keep hearing something. Oh, piss off. Yeah, it just keeps coming off. This is what I don't understand, is you can do the same knot on every bobbin and some bobbins just keeps coming apart. There's no obvious reason for it. That's all the pins. Doesn't feel like a lot of pins, does it? Add some more pins to the collection. Taking some painkillers. Oh, feels like my knee's going to explode. Hello, Rory. Making funny noises, dogs. Yes, sure. Oh! Hello, brown one. What? I see you. I do. And you've headbutted the light. Thank you. Yes. These annoyings. You is. You is annoyings. Yeah. No, stop nicking my jumper. Hands and jumpers. Don't like hands and jumpers. Face I will tolerate to an extent. Because I know you don't have many other ways. And I know you can. Yes. But my hands and my jumpers and my trousers and the couch are all kind of not good. Yeah. No. Oh. Is standing on my leg and ceasing the blood from my feet achieving anything for you, or is it just there to make my foot feel crappy? Stop grinding your teeth. You're getting a hug. There is not much more hug you can have. I can't be more intensely hugging. Oh, really? I said no to the hands, didn't I? Yes. I did. You licking your face is actually really annoying on occasions, you know that, right? Because you yawn, grind your teeth, lick your chops, grind your teeth, and then get all comfortable. And then do it all over again. Yeah. Alexa, what time is sunset today?
Sunset in Stoke Orchard, England will be at 6:23 p.m. today.
Like it's a couple of hours. did you need huggies now? Do you? Do you need huggies? Because you know what? Ah! Headbutting me in the face is not really the answer. This does not endear me to your love. No. I know it's 4:20. I can tell. Oh, give me close enough. It's 4:4 actually. Clock's always out, isn't it? I've got an Alexa clock, right? And it's a digital clock. No, it's more of their thinking belly time. But it's so frustrating, this clock, because it's one of these it's a digital clock, so if I have a timer, the timer shows on the clock, right? But the time itself is set from my bitch face device. And if I ask her what time it is, Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 4:15 p.m.
It says 4:15. So why does my clock say 4:21? It's 5 minutes out. And I've tried so much to reset it. Taken the hands off it, put the hands back. And so every time I look up and it says it's like 4:21, of course it's not 4:21, is it? It's really irritating because I mean I'm not one of these people that, if the time's out by 1 minute I'll hate on it. It's close enough, right? But when it's 5 odd minutes out, it's kind of noticeable. Because 5 minutes is long enough that you go to do something and, it's not time yet. So, for example, if you were going to watch a TV show, well, the TV doesn't show for another 5 minutes. Well, then by the time you've watched a bunch of adverts, you've got bored and you've sodded off. And you've completely missed the thing that you put the time, that you were going to watch because the time's wrong. And yeah, it annoys the crap out of me that it's wrong. Sure, I wasn't going to go that way. I was going to go this way. So yeah, I've tried everything. Because if I take the hands off and move the minute hands back 5 minutes, which is easy because it's the hands on the top, the time then doesn't update because you've messed with it. It gets humpy about it. So then it will resync, and instead of going round 12, because obviously that's the obvious thing to do, is, to go around nearly 12 hours and go to where you think it should be, it actually does a full 24-hour sweep, which of course, and sometimes more than once. So it does like a 12-hour sweep to ensure, a 24-hour sweep to ensure that the hands can move on the clock, and then it sets the time. So if it's 1700 or whatever, it'll go around nearly 1.5 times, and with the whole lot, it doesn't move just the minute hands to the minute and just the hour to the hour. It goes the full clock rotation, and it takes it like 10-15 minutes of wearing out the battery to set the time. And you're like, can you not? And it doesn't seem to matter what I do, it resets the time to be 5 minutes out. And if you try and interfere with it, so when it lines it up and thinks it's 12 o'clock and you kind of tamper with it, it starts again. It feels like Groundhog Day, the movie, when you're trying to set the bloody time on it. because I'm pretty sure you can't ask it, the actual device, what time it thinks it is. Hang on. Not in that sense, if you know what I mean. Because it's basically by Bluetooth. Devices. And it doesn't show in any place other than as a Bluetooth connected device to what part of? I said do that, thank you. It goes, so Bluetooth connection to Echo Wall Clock, but you can't, so you can, it doesn't, you can't poke at it. There is no clock device on here. There's no actual clock device. No, because you spend up, 3 hours later, you're still fucking swearing at it. It is just one of those things is that you're going, since early dawns of time we have found methods of telling the time, and all of them are more accurate than this fucking clock. It does, I mean, sometimes it doesn't bother me and I just accept that it's 5 minutes out. Other times the 5 minutes out bothers me, and I can't discern why. Sometimes it bothers me more than others, but there are times when it really boils my piss. And as I say, I can't explain entirely why, other than it does. And yeah, I was going to say something to you guys, because you'll understand this. You're all human, right? I bought those patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I bought those patterns and they arrived. Those really complicated wiggly patterns that I bought. The really expensive ones. Well, it dawned on me there is a weakness. So, I haven't got one to hand. Well, I could go and get one. But if you had a wiggle, she says looking for something to draw on and not finding anything to draw on. Because, well, that's the way of life around here. Hang on. Grab a chunk of this. Right. And a Sharpie. So let's say I draw a wiggle. And it goes... And we'll make it kind of square. So this is the square, alright? And you can almost see that, yeah. Doesn't show up very well, which is a bit annoying. Let's zoom in a little bit then. And down a bit. So you can see it a bit better. Hang on. Right, so you can see it a bit better when it's in focus. So let's say you have a wiggle that does this. Right? So clearly the wiggle here and the wiggle here do not line up. But the idea is that you would flip the wiggle to get that side, and then obviously with the bottom one you can flip it that way to make the bottom. So you flip, 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 flip as you go round. But of course it's only printed on one side. So as long as you make, I mean obviously the pinholes will be there, but you need to play dot. Well, yeah, but obviously the pins will be in the last one, so you can't do that, which is why I ordered more than one. But the problem is you then have to play dot to dot and draw on the back, Because, well, all it is a bunch of holes. Because it's not printed on both sides. So it actually annoys me that you don't have... Exactly, so it actually annoys me that they don't provide you with both parts, because you only need two, because the diagonal corner ones will be the same. So all they needed to do was give you two. But they don't. Now, originally I thought you just kind of had rotated it 90, rotated it, so that if I go back to this, that you would kind of... Because obviously you can't really see the pattern on the website because they blurred it out so you don't copy it. But I thought you had like A, B, C, D. Because then it doesn't matter. You could buy 4 of the same thing and just use them. But that's not how it works because it doesn't line up. You have to be flipping them. That really does stink, because the only thing I can think of then is tracing them and putting them on or stabbing all the holes on one side and then playing dot to dot, which again is going to look really shitty on, on 2 of them, isn't it? Well, it is really tempting, I have to say. Now, I'm sure that there are some of them where it probably works because, maybe they've done it so you can just rotate them. But I don't think many of the ones, because I think I bought 3 or 4 different patterns, I'm pretty confident that most of them aren't. Most of them, you can't do it. It doesn't flip. Let me go get them and I'll show you what I mean proper. It'll be hard because they're quite big, so hang on. I'm not going anywhere, I'm going over here to pick this up. For they are in a tube. Now, it makes them a bit fucking awkward, but because of course they're all curly as well. Now, this is a good example. This one's not so bad because they do give you both parts. So this one comes out here and in there and doesn't go out that way. So you've got 2 parts and you can make a hole. This is good. And if you wanted to, you can join them on that one and just rotate it and do that. So that one works. We could make that one. So that kind of works okay. As they have provided both sides of the pattern. However, there are many where they have not. And this one, I think, is one of the knots. So, again, this one is supposed to be... So I've got a bunch of them, because they're all the same, right? And they are all the same. This one, this is the only entrance and exit point on the whole pattern. I know it's just behind the screen, but it's there, look. You can just see that it shows that it's there. Well then, if I grab its friend, move that up as far as I can, and let's temporarily move that back. Well, of course that isn't going to work because, well, that's at that end and that's that end. So you would have to flip it over. Now, obviously it works for the opposite corner. Well, that's a lot of tracing to do, and lots of dot to dots and joining ups and stuff in it. So that one was slightly irritating because, well, basically I've got to trace it through to the other side so I can do that one. So that one's annoying. This one is okay, sort of, because it's in half and there's the join. But again, if I turn this, but there is a join the other side, so if I turn it over, it will meet in the middle. So that one works. That's fine. That's great. We can do that one. We can put that one in the doable collection part. This is the only other one I bought, isn't it? Let's check. Yep. Now this one is even more different in that there are no joins. So with this one, the idea is you are, if you actually look, this kind of is the join in the middle. So you flip flop, so you can make this panel and then you make an identical panel kind of coming off the other ends. So you can extend, but there is a join here. Oh, there is a join, but I see it's a join that way round. So there is a join, but you can flip it because it's symmetrical. And of course, being symmetrical, it works fine. So you can turn it around and make it long. And if you want to make it twice as wide, well, you just make another half of this on the other side and have it join along some of these bits down the side. So that works really well. So it's only really the one of them, but it, of course, is also one of the most complicated ones, isn't it? It's one of the ones with the most chit in it. So, slightly frustrated, because it was the one I was going to start with, funnily enough. I pulled it out and went, right, we'll do this one. And then my brain went, can't do that one. And I'm like, well, why not? Because you can't. It doesn't work like that. So I might have to start with one of the other ones, which isn't a problem, but it's not the one I wanted to start on, you know. It's not the one I wanted to do the most. So I don't know quite what to do. Because being the size that it is, I mean, I'd have to get a sheet of A4 because I'm pretty sure that that's bigger than a sheet of A4. So I wouldn't even be able to scan it in my computer, flip it and print it on the other side. And have done with it and have it at least printed out for me. So yeah, slightly annoyed that they don't offer the mirror image half of this, so that you can properly make it. Because for the others, as I say, I get it. You can either have multiple copies or you can peel it off and print and flip it around and you know, and turn it or move it or whatever. But you can't with this one. And of course, you'd never make it look as pretty as this if you tried to trace it by hand, because, well, that's just really annoying. Which reminds me, If you start here and you follow it around, oh, there's the other end. There's an end there. But that doesn't line up with that. Because one advantage with this is you only need about 5 pairs of bobbins. Yeah, the only thing I can think of is getting a big sheet of tracing paper. Thank you for the follow. The only thing I can think of doing is getting a large sheet of tracing paper, tracing it, and putting it on the back. Because there's no real other way to do that. Because as I say, if you turn it over, all you're really going to have would be the pinholes of this, and you'd have to play dot to dot, and chances are you'd manage to screw it up. Plus it wouldn't show you necessarily all of the accurate joins in the middle. So you'd have to trace it and flip it, which is just shit. Because they are indeed all the same. She says quickly checking. Might be the same way out. Yeah, the same. Checking. There is no second sheet or anything. No, they're all the same. So you'd have to transfer 2 onto the back so you could make it, which is just a bit naff, really. Slightly defeating the object. Yes, Amy, I love you dearly, but you're annoying. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Have you got... Oh, it's Octopus Day today. You want to say hello to Octopus? Yes, thank you. You not love Heffy today? No? Or Dino? Dino was your bestest for ages. I don't think you like new Heffy as much as old Heffy, but that's your fault for losing old Heffy. One day we will find him. I don't know what you did with him. We have still not resolved the location of old Heffy. No, don't grumble. You're the one who lost him. You are. You did. I am not the one who took him somewhere and abandoned him. No. You did that. Sorry, dog's kicking the camera. Yes, you are. Oh, it's Heffy. Everyone say hello to new Heffy. Here we go. This is new Heffy. Look. Yes, you can have new Heffy. He's your new Heffy, isn't he? And you like him because he's got crinkly ears. Listen to his crinkly ears. He's got crinkly ears. You like Heffy for crinkly ears. You just... Hey, Fleece and V. So, well, same with any of them. It's a bit like this. So, with this one, pretending that I have the other half, so the flip side of it, I would trim fairly closely along the edge here, so for the joining edges, and then you just pin it on and start working and go for it. You just follow the pattern as it is on your billow. So the same as I have my pattern here, which is only attached at one end, but there you go. You have a bigger roller pillow generally than this, because obviously this one's wider than, yeah, just a little bit wider. But, and because you'd need to make it twice as wide because it's got a join here as well, I've got a pillow that will take it. I really do. Hello, Rory. But you effectively just kind of, you can glue the pieces of paper together, but there is a downside in gluing the pieces of paper together, in that the glue can be really annoying for your pins, because depending on what glue you use, it can be a bit pin resistant. So, and you inevitably have to pin somewhere along the join, because like when I join this together, there'll be more below this line here, and all these pinholes will go between two bits of card. Well, in short, Rory, you don't need a hug, Mummo. Hey, get off! Get off, the pair of you. Try and put your paws through it. Let me put these away before they destroy them. You're just annoying, doggies. You are very, infinitely annoying. Can't do anything, can I? Without you being doggety in the way. Let me put this back in the tube. Like that. Right. Don't know where the lid's gone. There it is. But yeah, you just pin it onto the thing. I tend to sew them together. I didn't put this in very well. It's come undone. Well, it's not got an even edge on it, so I can't put the lid on very well. Hang on. Got to tighten it up a bit. There we go. There, it's safe from dogs now. So yeah, you can put pins in the corners to hold it temporarily, but once you start work, it tends to stay still. I often occasionally put pins further away, so like on this one I put pins down here just to hold it straight and simple, to put less strain on the areas with the pins to stop it ripping. I laminated these for that reason, so that because I'm going to be reusing them a lot. So lamination is a good plan, but that's made out of fairly thick cardy kind of paper, so it should be good to use as is. But I would have to, as I say, get some tracing paper, copy the pattern onto the back so that I can flip them to do the other two corners, which just seems really stupid when you paid a lot of money, because they're really not cheap. They were like £18 or something. Could you at least not give me the full tools for the job? So slightly annoyed at that, to be honest. But for the other patterns I bought, they provide either both sides or it is halves of, so you can and it just flips because it's symmetrical. It's the fact that that's not entirely symmetrical, I think, that screws that one up. Well, it is sort of symmetrical, but it's not. It's a mirror image, and that's where its problem is, whereas the others are symmetrical, so when you turn it, it works just as well. You don't have to flip it, otherwise they'd suffer from the same problem. I'm sure possibly with some enthusiasm I could make it a little bit more, but I don't want to have to fiddle with it, you know. I don't want to be drawing all over it, because what if I don't like what I've done, you know. But it is something that the actual making of it is quite a lot of fun, because you don't have many pairs of bobbins to do it. So unlike this, where I've got, you know, Christ knows how many pairs of bobbins. Hang on. 21. 42 pairs of bobbins. That would take 5 or 6 to do the whole thing, and it's bigger. But it's because you wiggle around and you join back on what you're doing to build up the wiggle. But it does mean you only need a handful of bobbins, so it's a lot easier. It should, you know, you don't have quite so much bobbin anxiety of them tangling, because, well, there's only a handful. Even if they tie themselves in knots, it's not going to take you that long to undo them, because you've got, say, at most 8-10 bobbins on the cushion, right? I'm trying to think how. It doesn't say how many you'd use, but because obviously it does vary a little bit with the size of your con. But you know, let's say I did 12. Well, that's 24 bobbins. Actually, it would never be 12. It would be 12 bobbins, because it would be 6 pairs. So let's say even 7 pairs. 14 bobbins. It's nothing. 14 bobbins is this. That's it. To do the entire thing. You'd have to wind a lot of thread on it, because obviously there's a lot of winding around and stuff to do, so you would need a lot of thread. But it is realistically a very easy to do, because you just kind of wander your way around the cushion, really. And I've got a huge cushion, and I've got a stand for my huge cushion, and it really isn't that bad. It'd be a little harder to show you guys on the grounds that you tend to work much like this. You tend to work, you know, the top's here, and I mean slightly off camera, but the actual kind of top of the circumference of this is here. But I look here. I'm looking at this section, which is just down below. Well, the same would be true with the big one, except the big one's kind of, well, huge. So I'd have a job to get the camera to look at it from kind of more of this point of view than this point of view, because, well, you wouldn't really see a lot, because, well, it would be all over the hill kind of thing. But I do kind of want to have a go. I will get some bobbins out and I will give it a bash. Even if all I do is make a quarter of it for a laugh, just to see how it goes. Make a quarter of one of them for a laugh. Because that is another way of doing it, but of course it's not the right way of doing it. Would be to make all 4 quarters the same and then flip the actual lace and join it together. But the whole point is that it is kind of one continuous piece. Well, that's normally the point of it, is that effectively it is one continuous piece. So you make the whole thing and then join back where you started and it's done. Again, part of the joys of it. So there's only one little tiny join. And whereas, yes, you could make 4 individual pieces or halves or whatever you're making, but then you would have a big pile of joins down the middle and it would really, really show. Whereas, of course, if you do it in one piece, like you're supposed to, now you do work one piece and then move on to the next piece, but it all kind of joins together. Whereas if you finish and take that piece off and then try and join the new piece to the old piece, it looks different, if that makes sense, in a lot of places. So you can't really have any kind of interplay between the pieces. And I guess in some ways you could do that. I might do that for the pissy one just to not have to draw it on the back. You know, make 4 quarters the same and then join them and just live with the fact that they look like 4 quarters joined together. But at least they'd have made it. But yeah, kind of really excited to do some of those. The dogs are going nuts. Being annoying, doggos. Yes, you are. Bite him. Bite him, bite him, bite him. Where is he? Go get him. Where is he? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? She's not actually biting him. You've got a Heffy! You've got a Heffy! Hello, boy. Has she got Heffy? Yes, she has. She's all happy when she's got Heffy. She is. She's annoying when she's got Heffy, but she has Heffy and she's happy. You're happiest when you're lying next to me and I'm giving you a hug and you're clawing great chunks out of my skin. Yes. She is happy. Yes. And so are you, my man, aren't you? You're my bestest boy. Just wish he'd let me cut his nails. He'll let me pretty much do anything except that. Oh yeah. Ow! You stood on my toe. Have you noticed if you stand on a dog, anything, even if only their fur, they scream like you've killed their ancestors. When they tread on you and you go ow, they look at you with and. So. Do you know that your claws and my toes are not necessarily biologically compatible, right? Because much as I love you, I do love you very much. But my toes do not appreciate being stood on. Especially as I've got ingrown toenails in my big toes. Yes, they definitely don't like being stood on much. Especially as one of them's really sore at the moment. Remember I was moaning about how one of my big toes felt weird the other day. Well, it still feels weird, and I've worked out why. Remember when I was doing this with my finger and I had a big blister underneath it? Or it was my thumb, I think, but I'd been doing lots of kind of this, and I had a big blister under my skin, but it wasn't like a visible blister. Basically, the whole skin had come away from the flesh underneath in kind of in an ovally shape. I've got the same on my toe. Most of my big toe, the skin has come away from the flesh. It actually moves. If you put your thumb on it, you can move it around a bit. So it's blistered underneath, and I've obviously got to wait for it to work its way up to the surface. It's either that or I hack at it with a sharp object, which is not unheard of. I do that. Minor surgery of my own. And yes, by the way, it hurts, and yes, it bleeds. But usually a lot less than the problem I'm attacking. So I remove splinters in possibly the worst and most violent way going. I will get a sharp knife, so if I had a big splinter in my finger and it's all underneath and right down on there, just slice, pick, because the big slice will heal a lot easier than me picking at it for 45 minutes with a pin. and I remember I got one under my nail. I got one under my thumbnail. I don't know which thumb it was, but I got one under my thumbnail. And you could vaguely make out the little black dot of it under your nail. So I got a sharp knife and just went, and blood everywhere. And my cousin went, poof. And I was like, and we were all there. I think it was my granddad's funeral. And we were all there because I remember the two boys looking at me and we all looked at her kind of going, "It's only a splinter." It's like, what? It very much was the, oh, just like a dog does when it stands on my sore toe. Hello, dog. Hello, doggy. I know what you want. I do. I do. I'm not stupid, for I am too, you know. It is 5 o'clock, well, ish. It's 5 to 5, but according to my clock, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I am aware that you and I are both requiring nourishment for the continuation of life. Yes. I do appreciate that that is a thing. What have you got on your nose? Young man. Ow. Amy, you have really bony paws. You have tiny bony paws. He has big clawy paws. So neither of you balancing on my leg is actually that comfortable. No. He's slightly better on the grounds that because my leg is rounded, his claws are kind of not having to be flat. Hello, Heffy. We will say hello to Heffy again. Hello, Heffy. There he is. Thank you. I've always done it. If they give me a toy, I show it some affection and play with it a little bit and then give it back and say thank you. Because it is like they're sharing their toy with me. You know, obviously I don't want to run around flipping it against my ears like they do. Because, well, I mean, I have occasionally done the tug toy and played tug with them. So I've got the tug toy in my mouth and I'm growling and playing tug. My neighbour, she's got a little French bulldog thing, and I was around there just before Christmas, and it brought me its tug toy, so I played tug with it. And she was laughing, and she goes, "Can I video this and send it to my husband," who was out at the time? And I'm like, "Yeah, if you want. I do this all the time. I'll come and do this again if you want." The dog absolutely loved it. The dog loves me because I will do silly things like that. And everyone else is all prim and proper. I mean, my neighbours aren't exactly prim and proper, but, well, they're more prim and proper than I am, let's put it that way. But that doesn't take a lot. You know, I've played tug with so many dogs. All fours on the floor, growling, dog toy in my mouth, yank, yank, pull, pull, shake, shake, the whole 9 yards, right? And yeah, I'm nuts. How did you not know this? You know, but it was really funny. But the dog was, she said, "I'm not going to need to take her for a walk now." And the dog's like going, "Oh, I guess sleep now, I'm tired." And I'm like, "More, more!" So these two do have a good fun life, and that's enough licking of my hands now, Rory. Thank you, darling. But they are loved and they are wonderful, especially when they're asleep. Although you snore, yes you do. Don't say you don't snore, Rory. I know you do. Because, young man, you lie next to me most of the night, and if I wake up for a pee, all I can hear is snoring. It is. It is! Oh! Jesus Christ. You're too big. Oh, well done, Amy. Sorry, that was Amy headbutting. We're doing really well. We're completely, absolutely decimating the place. So, I'm going to stop for now. I know we've only done an inch. Well, we've done a bit more than an inch, because the 2-inch mark's there. But, just to prove a point, the inches are not 100% accurate. So, if I actually measure it, you can see that we're not actually accurate, but they are approximate. So it's actually, I mean, these are near a 2-inch, and yet it shows we've got 4 rows to go. So it's not accurate. It's close enough. It's an indicator, isn't it? That's the whole point, is to show roughly where we're at. So when we're kind of on the 3rd sheet, yes, then, I mean, some of these inches are shorter, some of them are longer, because I made them all at, you know, at one of the points along the way. But it is kind of, it's an indicator. It is not cast iron, because, well, you know, it hardly ever is a straight line, so, you know. But I tend to do it when it averages out at one of these inch marks. And I would honestly say we're about 1.5 inches in truth, given that that's near the 2. So, you know, by the time you take this bit and put it in there and that bit in there, it kind of works it out as about 1.5 inches, but it's an inch. We're not gonna be any more accurate than that. And I've added some extra pins, so we've got a few more pins for the ones that were fallen along the way last time. I.e., when I ripped them out, they went over the edge, or I just butterfingered them and threw them somewhere. I've no idea where they went. But we are back on track. But yes, I do apologise for not streaming last night. I just wasn't in the mood. I got to kind of start time and it was like, I haven't found enthusiasm. I want to watch TV and then go to bed. So I did. I didn't go to bed as early as I meant to, and I'm not going to pretend that that was successful. But I did have a nice restful evening and a good sleep. So from that point of view, worth it. Let me put my cloth on it so that I can put my laptop on it tomorrow. Because my laptop sits on here when I'm working. But yes, I do apologise for not being better at hosting. I do apologise for being not very interesting sometimes. But, well, as we've said many times, it's not a speed sport. But I hope to see you again soon. Oh, I did a bit more tatting. So, you may remember I made a square. Well, I made a slightly better one. There you go. It's the same thread, by the way. I just made it a bit tighter and it looks a bit better for it. It looks a bit more square-fied now. So the idea is I know it doesn't work because of the size differential, but that you kind of join them like this, so that there's little squares there. And but yeah, I had a bit more of a successful run at it. I tried to do 2 colour ones, but I kept effing it up. I got really close and then would F it up. So, because the colours are a bit close, even though the purple and the white look distinct enough. So, like this, for example, the purple and the white look quite different. But when you've just got one thin thread of each, they basically look the same. And then you F it up and it doesn't work. So that would take a bit more practice. But I will try. Because 2 coloured ones would look nice. Definitely could look quite nice. But I shall be back tomorrow. It's Monday tomorrow, so I will have been back at work. And I will be full of the joys of people who annoyed me. So, to give you an idea, she says, having knocked it off, it's just gone flying. Hang on. No, that's not it. Hang on. There it is. So, here you can see a bit more. It looks the same colour, but it's actually not. Hang on. Well, if you look, if you can tell, these purple ones, these 3 bottom rings are purple, and these 2, the big loops and the white one are white. But you can see like that, they look really, but it's also quite close. Now, in person it shows up a bit better that these are purple and these are white. And I'm pretty sure if I do this, no, you see, it still looks pretty close. But if I use a slightly more distinct colour, One that does, you know, two more different kind of intensities, so a bit more black and white style. I feel that might help, but I think that could look quite pretty to have. I might do it in slightly thicker thread, because I've definitely got some really violently different coloured threads. I've got plenty of white to start it off with, just to give it a bit of a try, see how it goes, and get into the practice of it. Again, thicker thread is always a bit easier as well, so that would work. But yeah, I shall be back tomorrow. I shall be my grumpiest self as always after work, because someone will have said something mind-numbingly painful. And I think we've got to do DR run tomorrow. I hope not. Really not in the mood for that. But hey, that's what I'm. Well, it's not what I'm paid for, but it is part of what I'm paid for, I guess. It's not outlined in my job description, but you know, it is not part of my job, if you know what I mean. It's a potentially usable part of my job. So I have that to do tomorrow. Joy. That'll go on all bloody day. Anyway, I shall see you tomorrow about 7 o'clock-ish my time, so that's 26-ish hours time. And I'll try not to be too grumpy, but we all know how that goes. Until then, my friends, thank you for joining me today, and I shall see you again soon. Bye-bye.